Hello, everyone, and welcome to Women's Empowerment Coffee Break. I am your host, Rochelle Higgins, and I'm so excited to be with you here on today. Today, we have none other than Dr. LaTasha Blissett, and she has just been a blessing to my life. And I want her to be a part of the Women's Empowerment Coffee Break because I feel like we as women can share our stories and empower one another. And sometimes in life, we may go through some challenges and we may go through circumstances and we may go through tribulations in our lives and we may not know how to navigate through that. And so that's why we're here today with her. She's going to talk about overcoming challenges. I know sometimes in our lives we just don't know what to do when we are in a hard place. And I believe that the Lord is going to do the Lord's work on today. And I'm not going to continue to babble on any longer. I'm going to go ahead and introduce her. Dr. LaTasha Blissett is a licensed professional counselor and a substance abuse professional with the state of Georgia. She is a national board certified counselor, supervisor, and suicide prevention facilitator. Dr. Blissett has been in the behavioral health field for over 20 years as a provider for the Georgia Department of Human Services. Dr. Blissett is the CEO of Connecting Generations Inc., providing counseling, coaching, supervision, life skills, parenting, education, and addiction services. Dr. Blissett is a graduate of two historical HBCUs, Spelman and Clark Atlanta University, and a proud member of the prestigious Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Dr. Blissett completed graduate studies at Restoration Theological Seminary, earning a doctorate in clinical Christian counseling. She serves as the board of By Faith Global Ministries and as a member of Living for His Purpose International Women's Ministry. Dr. Blissett serves her local church as an ordained minister, women's ministry coordinator, certified chaplain, and Sunday school teacher. Dr. Blissett is passionate about cultivating peace, instilling hope, igniting passion for others, and encouraging change through ministry and mental health education. We have none other than Dr. LaTasha Blissett. I want you to share with us what should we do or what have you experienced in your life when you've had to overcome a challenge?
For me personally, my personal struggle has been recognizing when the helping professional is in need of help. That has been my struggle. A lot of times when we are pastors, when we are ministers, teachers, even stay at home moms, that's a full time job. We fail to recognize when we need to seek help, when we need to reach out to someone else and get some help. So that has been my greatest struggle. Came face to face with it during the pandemic and finally decided that I needed to admit to it first and foremost, get out of denial and seek help, whatever that help, needed to look like for me. And that's what I encourage others to do for themselves.
Okay, so you talked about when the professional needs help.
Yeah.
I am a social worker too, and I think I struggle with that. I think I struggle with, I tell everyone, maybe you should go get help. And now and then it's like when I'm going through something, oh, I don't need any help. I have it all together. I have the tools, I have the skills, I know how to get through things, I know how to work through, difficult challenges. But how do you speak to someone like the working professional that thinks they're the expert and that doesn't need any help? What would you say to me?
everyone needs someone else to be accountable to.
Mhm.
What we do when we're in the helping profession, we tend to minimize what we're going through, especially when we compare it to the person sitting across from us, or the family member that's in need of help, or situations that's going on in the world. We look at those and we like, okay, I'm not going through anything compared to that. But whether it's a big struggle or a small struggle, it is still unique. It is still your struggle. It is still what you're having difficulty with. And if you need some help, it's okay to reach out and get some help. You can look for supports. Look for supports in your environment. Look for supports in the field that you're working in. Even look for supports within your family. Why? Because we all need community. No man needs to be an island to him or herself. And that includes the minister, the pastor, the teacher, the social worker, the therapist, or the counselor, because we experience what we call burnout. In our language, it's also called compassion fatigue.
Mm,
And compassion fatigue is when we are so overwhelmed emotionally, physically, and sometimes spiritually that we become just a little bit cynical. We're not as empathetic or as sympathetic toward the individuals that we are working with, because we've heard so much, we've seen so much, and it tends to weigh us down. And then if you have your own issues and your own struggles added into that, you just become frazzled and you become overwhelmed. And we need to practice self-care
right.
first and foremost, taking care of ourselves on all of those fronts: mental, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially, socially, environmentally, whatever it takes, because we can't show up and be our best selves, and we can't really offer adequate or effective help to others if we're not healthy and taking care of ourselves. So we want to show up as our best selves, and that includes leaning on others at times when you're having difficulty and when you're having struggle. But we have a difficulty admitting to that as helping professionals.
So, what would you say when you are experiencing difficulty navigating a challenge in your life? How do you feel like you address that as far as acknowledging that you need it?
How do I address it, or how does my environment let me know
Wow, come
that
on, you.
there is something going on? Because my
Yeah.
environment, my physical health lets me know that
Hmm.
there is something going on. And
Hmm.
what I have to do is listen. I
Right.
have to, I have to listen to it. I have to look at the fact that, okay, you've been ripping and running, you've been taking care of everyone else. Look at your environment. Things are out of order, things are in disarray,
Mhm.
and you can't function like that. I
Right.
have to listen to my body. My other greatest struggle has been weight for me. And over the past couple of years, once again, recognizing these things during the pandemic, when I had to sit with myself, is what I
Hmm.
call it. Sit
Hmm.
with myself and, still keeping up on health appointments, doctor's appointments, or what have you. And all of these borderline or preconditions started creeping up.
Hmm.
Why? Probably more than likely because of stress, because of overeating or emotional eating. And it was like, okay, I know what to do. I know how to handle this. I don't need to get any help. So you start trying to do little things and fix yourself or fix things within yourself. But it doesn't always pan out. It doesn't always work. So one way, your environment is going to speak to you, your health may start speaking to you, and then the people in your environment that also recognize that something is going on may start speaking to you about it as well.
Okay, so when you start talking about people in your environment, what would you do or say to someone who their environment is speaking to them and they're not getting it?
If the environment, if I guess if they come across my path, I would have them to do what I had to do. I would have them to sit with themselves. I would have them to start listing what is going well, what is not going well, and then why. if you're experiencing, extreme amount of stress, or if you're experiencing extreme amount of anxiety or difficulty or struggle
Mhm.
in a situation. Because 9 times out of 10, there is something that either you're not doing or something that you may be neglecting. And we need to help you to identify that. And once we identify it, then it's just like, what are you going to do? What are you going to take action? What are you going to let go of?
Right.
Because obviously your plate has become full.
Mhm.
We have to help them to understand that no, no is a complete sentence.
Wow. That's funny because in Bible study, we were just talking about saying no. And we
Mhm.
talked about the story of Mary and Martha and when Jesus
Yes.
went to go visit them.
Good
And
example.
and Martha was so just, trying to get everything together. And so she was so upset with Mary. And it was like, you're so quick to get everything together, or society says when someone's here, you got to do all these things, you got to prepare a meal, and you decided not to say no to what society says, and you didn't sit at the feet of Jesus, so you missed it.
Yes. Yes.
So you missed.
Sometimes you have to just sit at his feet.
Yes.
You must. For your own sake and your own sanity. Remember, you have to be healthy if you want to be helpful to others.
Right, right. And so, how do you speak to, like, when I talked about the societal norms where, this is what you're supposed to do. So as a woman, we're speaking to women. So as a woman who may have so many hats that they're wearing, and they want to be active in their children's life. They want to be active, in the church. They want to be active in so many different community organizations, and they're being pulled in so many different ways. How do they weigh out, you know, that no? What are we going to say no to so that we
Fir-
won't stress ourselves out?
First of all, to everything in the environment, you must say, I am not your superwoman.
Wow.
I do not wear a cape.
Hmm.
I cannot be in multiple places at one time. I am not your superwoman. You see, we as African American females or just women of color, we
Hmm.
have this superwoman syndrome, and this dates back probably all the way back to slavery of trying to be all things to all people. And we really have to put the brakes on. We really have to set boundaries. And sometimes you have to set boundaries first and foremost with yourself, simply because you're looking at the world, you're looking at the way the world does it. And if you're a believer, if you're a Christian woman, you know that we live in this world, but we are not of this world.
Hmm.
Therefore, you should not be comparing yourself to what you see out there in the world. Nowadays, you see so many African American women, and we do have our own small businesses as African American women. However, you shouldn't be chasing the bag. But
Wow.
you see a lot of them chasing the bag. You
Hmm.
see a lot of them just wanting to be dressed up in front of the camera with these beautiful homes, these wonderful relationships, these beautiful children. But you don't know what's going on behind the scenes
Yeah.
in that situation. But yet you're striving and you're comparing yourself to that. And then you're working yourself, your fingers to the bone, literally trying to achieve something which is basically an illusion because they're showing you the best of everything.
Yes.
They have edited it, they have
Yes.
photoshopped it,
Yes.
um, and they have put their best foot forward and the best clips into a little mini video for you to see. And then you look at it over and over again because sometimes you get stuck scrolling on Facebook and
Hmm.
you're looking at it over and over again in different situations, in different scenarios, wishing that that was your reality. But it's no one's reality. It's just an illusion that they create to reel you in.
Wow, that is so amazing. When you said reel you in, I'm thinking about how they call it a reel,
Mm-hmm.
and how they
Mm-hmm.
want to, like you said, giving you the best portions, the best images, the best
Exactly.
clip, to make you feel like it's just perfect, to make you
Exactly.
see.
When a producer makes a movie, they show you previews. They show you little clips to get you interested enough to come out. And then you get there and you watch the whole movie and you're like, hmm, I thought it was going to be more to it than that. I thought this was going to be a better outcome than, what happened. They really didn't even have a plot. It wasn't even well developed. And that's because they just showed you clips
Mm.
of just the best part of the thing, what they really wanted you to see to reel you in. And so it is with all these images and everything that we see on Facebook.
So when someone is overcoming a challenge of, I'm not where I think I need to be, how do
Oh.
you address that?
And see, it's hard for me to, I guess, separate the secular from the spiritual. So I would have to tell him, according to Jeremiah 29:11, he
Mm-hmm.
knows the plans that he has for you.
Right.
If God wanted you to be in a different position and situation, then that's where you would be. Now, if you know that you're not doing what you need to be doing, if you've heard his voice or, you've had inclinations towards some different things and you've just been disobedient, that is one thing. But if you are in a place and you are working and doing the things that you need to do, know that that's where God has you until He's ready to take you to that next level, or He's ready to elevate you. Because if you try to do things on your own, or if you get ahead of God, then you're really going to be in a struggle.
Yeah, and so that's something that I feel like I often wrestle with because I'm like, oh man, I felt like I joined or started the process of ministry late. A lot of people at Princeton Seminary are in their 20s and
Hmm.
they found their calling early in life, and here I am, second career, and I'm like, what am I doing? God, why didn't you allow me to answer my call 10 years ago? Like, why did you
Hmm.
disrupt my life so
Hmm.
that I could go now? And now I'm comparing myself
Absolutely.
to the to people that are 10 years younger than I am, that are just fresh out of undergrad, coming straight into seminary. They have this passion, they have this call for life, call for ministry on their lives, and I feel like they have I guess a start, like a what do they call it when you feel like they had a jump start ahead of you?
Hmm. 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 The way I answer that question, not only for those that I work with, but even for myself, that you have a gift within inside of you, and there is a perfect timing according to
Mm-hmm.
God's will when that gift is supposed to manifest and be a blessing and the answer to someone else's situation. So God he's just elevated them a little sooner and a
Mm-hmm.
little faster and a little earlier in regard to what it is that he wants them to do in the earth. And for some, it's just taken a little bit longer because maybe you needed more seasoning. Maybe you needed a different level of maturity to handle what he's going to put in your hands or what he's already put in your hands. But once again, you try to compare yourself to what you see others doing out there, then it attacks your confidence of where you are. And then you take your eyes off of what God is trying to get to you and through you and start trying to make things happen yourself. Once again, that's going to lead you down a slippery slope
Right.
and it's going to lead you into struggle.
Wow. So when someone is on that slippery slope and they are starting to struggle with their reality, what do you say to them?
If you're struggling with your reality, it's because you're all inside of your head. You need to process that with someone else. You need to find that mentor, that counselor, that pastor, that family member that you trust, that you can confide in. You need some accountability. You need somebody to walk alongside you, like the Holy Spirit, the paraclete, to help you see different avenues, different perspectives of different things. Because you have this map, but it's all up here inside of your head, and you need somebody else to help you navigate navigate the roads.
And so how do you know who to go to, because it's kind of hard to figure out, because sometimes you have your friends, or you have people that you really trust, that you confide in, but what if they give you the wrong or bad advice? Like, how do you know how to sift out the bad?
I was told something years ago. It's in the person told me when you're in a circle of individuals, you don't necessarily want to be the smartest in that bunch. You
Mm,
always want someone that's just a little bit higher than you because they're going to challenge you to raise the bar and come up higher in your life.
mm,
So when you're looking for mentors or that confidant that you need to go to, make sure it's somebody that has the experience,
mm,
first of all. Maybe someone that has struggled with the same thing that you have struggled with and they have overcome, or
mm,
they're in the process of overcoming. They have good plans, good strategies in place to do so. And go to that person. It may not be your good girlfriend because
mm,
you guys may be on the same level, having the same struggle, and y'all are in the same boat, and you need somebody with a little bit more experience, a little bit more expertise, a little bit more maturity, so to speak, to help pull you out of it. So go to people that's got the hat, that's got the t-shirt in those particular areas. Once again, I'm going to use myself as an example. When I started to see myself struggling in those different areas, I started seeking out mentors.
mm,
One of my mentors, she's an evangelist in ministry.
mm,
She has a weight loss program.
mm.
It is Christian based, and not only are we dealing with, the mental and the physical side of weight, we're dealing with the spiritual and the emotional side of weight. But she's been in ministry probably for over 20 some years. She struggled with the weight and has successfully kept off 80 pounds.
Wow.
And now she's working with a group of us, teaching us, how to get healthy from the inside out, so that we won't have these health challenges, so that we won't have these emotional situations, or at least we'll learn how to navigate them better without snapping.
Wow, that's good. That's
Mhm.
really good that you were able to have someone
Mhm.
there that's in both, like she's, you know, and it feels like it's a perfect fit to go to that certain person for,
Yes.
that information. So, I thank you for giving insight to that. We have some questions that are
Okay.
in the comments. So I want to
Sure.
get to them to see, does it spark some interest in other people that are viewing, and maybe people will write it, their difficulties or what they need to overcome and how can they get the services to help. Okay, so the first question is, what changes do you make in your life to prevent burnout?
What changes do you make? It goes back to the self-care. It goes back with keeping first things first, getting up in the morning and having some time with God, first and foremost, allowing Him to guide and direct you in the day instead of hitting the ground running, because you got up too late and you got to go to work, and you got to get the kids to school. So make sure you pace yourself, give yourself some time. To rise in the morning, to meet him, to speak with him, and not only rise and go into prayer, but also to sit in silence, because you have to remember prayer is a two-way conversation.
Yeah.
So it's not just you telling God everything that you want and everything that you need. And in the midst of that, you need to thank him, but you also need to sit in silence so you can hear him talk back to you
Yeah.
and lead and guide you and tell you what you need to do. And then whatever it is that he is leading you to, write it down, journal it down. And if you can spend some time in a devotional, that would be excellent. Giving you a word for the day, giving you a scripture that you can meditate upon, for the throughout the day. So when these situations do come up that you're going to struggle with, you can have the word of God, whatever that scripture is that comes up for you. I can do all things through Jesus Christ who strengthens me, to cast it down and to help you throughout that day. So start first and foremost with that. But even before that, make sure that you're getting a good night's rest. I was just in another webinar earlier today where the doctor was talking about, a lot of stress and a lot of issues that we have too is because we don't get enough rest. We're burning the candle at both ends. We're staying up late trying to meet deadlines and different things. So we have to get some rest. God created our bodies to rest. When I'm doing grief counseling with individuals, there's this acronym that they have called DEAR. DEER. The first thing they want you to do is make sure you're getting enough to drink. Your body, your cells have to be hydrated first and foremost. Make sure that you're eating properly. We know that a lot of foods sometimes make us feel sluggish. Sugar and caffeine spikes our blood sugar up and down. So that's the issue. We need to do some form of exercise. Our bodies were meant for movement. Particularly as we get older, muscles and things start to shrink, things start to stiffen up on us. So you need to move. That's the other E, the exercise. And then the last one, R, is you have to rest. Even Jesus had to steal away to get some rest, and we have to do the same thing as well. So it's going to start with your self-care. It's going to start with you being more aware. And if you're doing your self-care, you'll be more aware of what's going on with you. And then don't ignore it. We're good at ignoring a little pain here, a little pain there, or something crops up, and then we go to the doctor when it gets really bad. Don't ignore things in the physical or in the spiritual. If you're noticing that you're having difficulty with focus and concentration, or you're irritable and agitated, and things are just really getting to you, it's time to take a step back. It's time to have a me day or have a staycation. Hey, I'm just going to take a day, and I'm gonna go to the spa if you can do something like that. Or if you can't do that, I'm going to have a day to just go to the park and sit and relax and listen to the birds and enjoy nature. You have to have some sort of balance, and you have to be intentional about having that type of balance.
Amen. Yeah. Yeah. Because I feel like sometimes I have to be told to just rest
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
I rip and run and rip and run. I got to get this done, this done, this done, this done. And I feel like sometimes the only way that I would rest is I get sick.
Hmm.
And the Lord's
Yeah.
like, you didn't stop, so I made you sick. Now you
Yeah.
can't rip and run. I remember just being so sick. I was like in the bed for like 3 days, and I
Hmm.
was like,
Exactly.
oh my God. I was like, I have all this to do, and it was just like, but my body needed the rest.
Rest. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know it's difficult sometimes when you wear so many hats and you're operating in so many different capacities in the home and outside of the home and church and what have you. But if you have to get some help, getting some support, and this is aside from having that mentor or coach or what have you, but getting support is also essential. Everyone needs to identify at least 2 to 3 other individuals that they can depend upon. And it could be family members, it could be friends, it could be supports, could even be community agencies, depending on what your situation is, depending on what you're struggling with. Giving an example, I've worked with a young lady who was caring for an elderly parent, and she was trying to do everything for that elderly parent. Well, there are agencies out there that will come in and offer some housekeeping assistance, bathing assistance with that individual. You have to, seek those resources out. Utilize your supports and utilize your resources. Because you have to remember, God may not change your situation,
Hmm.
but He can change you in the midst of that situation if you allow Him to,
Yes, yes.
if you allow Him to do the work.
And what do you say to someone who doesn't know how to ask for help?
Oh, wow. Then you really have to have a circle of support. You have to have some people around you to help you identify your warning signs that hey, something is going on, and letting you know that you're not looking the same, you're not taking care of yourself the same, you're snappy at people, and when they come to you, because these should be trusted individuals, and when they come to you and they tell you about it, take heed. Take heed and do something about it.
That's good. That's good. Because sometimes I feel like sometimes people get, I guess, so in their feelings about, oh
Mhm.
well, why you had to say that to me, or I don't believe that. How do you not come off defensive when someone is giving you warning signs of what they see in you?
And what they see. Um, how do you not come off defensive? It's just going to depend on, I guess, when and how they approach you, and preferably that person that you have, I guess, enlisted as your help or support knows you well enough to recognize the right time to come to you.
Yes, yes, okay.
Because sometimes, because you mentioned I work in substance abuse, sometimes people have to just stage an intervention, and you might not like everything that's said, everything that you hear, everything that's spoken about you and your behavior and the situation that you're in. But once again, if these are people that you trust, if these are people in your life that you love, be open and be receptive. Take heed to what they are saying and then take action. And if you don't know how to take action, then that's when you can go to your pastor. That's when you can go to a counselor, a therapist, or coach, or someone who can give you some insight and better perspective on what you can possibly do.
Okay, we're going to shift on to the next question.
Sure.
The next question is, what are some common misconceptions about mental health that you'd like to address?
Some common misconceptions, that mental illness is mental health. That would be first and foremost. We all need to take care of our mental health just like we take care of our physical health. And just because you're addressing anything going on with your mental health, it does not mean that you have a mental illness.
That is so good. That is some good information because people often feel like they don't want to see a therapist because they don't want the stigma
Exactly.
what mental how people view mental illness, and they think that they don't want people to know that about them, and that's something, yeah, it's so taboo. Oh, especially in the African American community, that is
Absolutely.
so hard. So
It,
that is some good information. So how would you like help me communicate that to other people? Like, what are some other things you can say to encourage people to say, mental health and mental illness are two
um,
different things?
yeah, first of all, taking care of your mental health is not a sign of weakness.
Okay.
Okay, first and foremost. And it's a good thing that our society and the language is changing out there. Of course, we as African Americans, we're not as far along as we should be. But it's a good thing that our state and city officials and our healthcare companies, they are all already looking at it as equal, the physical and the mental. The same way they're going to help you treat your physical ailments, they're going to help you to treat your mental health ailments, or just stay in good mental health. So that's good that the language around it is changing. Um, for us as a people, we're going to have to start admitting more that there is something going on, recognizing who and how and when to seek help, not being afraid to discuss the things that we struggle with, whether it's anxiety, depression, or what have you, because you need to know that you're not the only one. You're not the only one in that struggle. And not being afraid to seek help. A lot of people don't even know that with their health insurance that they have behavioral health benefits,
Wow.
behavioral health, EAP services, those are your employee assistance programs where you could actually access, depending on who your employer is, free services before you even have to start paying for different things. There are a lot of health and wellness programs, even within insurance companies now, that you can access for free. A lot of people don't, know about them. They don't attempt to access them. You don't even have to go and sit in front of anybody anymore because we have telehealth services where you can do it from the comfort and the safety of your own home. So if you don't want to be in a doctor's office, if you don't want to be recognized or seen by somebody you might know in your community, going out seeking services, you can do it from home using your smartphone or your computer.
That's good.
So there are options for
Mhm.
you to get the help that you need and address the issues that you are having. You don't have to suffer in silence.
And what about someone who seeks help and then an intervention is medication
Mhm.
and they're wrestling with I don't want to take the medication.
Wow. Just last Saturday, here in Atlanta, Pastor Oliver hosted a mental health and wellness conference. And he said some profound things about that medication. He said, don't you take your diabetic
There you
medication?
go. Mhm.
Don't you take your medicine for hypertension? You have to take your medicine as well for depression or anxiety.
Yeah.
God created God created the doctors and the chemists and the pharmacies to put these things together. They didn't come up with that on their own.
Mhm.
Those were divine interventions because of things in the earth that was going to cause people to have these different conditions and symptoms. And God provided a way to treat them until He delivers you from them,
Mhm.
until you do the necessary things like that self care that I was talking about,
Mhm.
making sure that you're eating properly, making sure that you're exercising, making sure that you're hydrating yourself, even if some of the situations are genetic, meaning that they're passed on from
Mhm.
generation to generation or whatever. There are still things that you can do health wise to manage them. But take your medications as prescribed.
Mhm.
You need them. You need them. And it's unfortunate that, we lived in this world where they separated the two,
Mhm.
medical and mental health, because they really should have always been treated the same. And
Right.
then people wouldn't have the anxiety around taking something for anxiety or taking something for depression. The only thing is that when you start taking different medications for different conditions, educate yourself, know what they are,
Mhm.
know those substances that you might have a tendency to necessarily become addicted to. But if you're using them according to the doctor's advice,
Mhm.
according to how the prescriptions and different things are written, you're going to be okay
Mhm.
until you do the things that you need to do health wise. So, for is your nutrition,
Mhm.
and any other things that the doctor is recommending outside, or I should say this, they should be recommending it in addition to your
Mhm.
prescription medications so that you can eventually come off of the medications. There's a lot of research now being done on how. There's a food mood connection, and food can be used as your medicine
Wow.
eventually. But you have to get your body back to functioning properly. You have to get the cells and the organs healthy enough so that you don't need the meds.
Yes. Wow. That's amazing. I'm glad you really shared that because I was having a conversation with somebody
Hmm.
and that came up and I was like, this is an expert. They're giving you what you need.
Hmm.
And so there should be no hesitation. It should be
Right.
research, like you said. And if they're prescribing what you need, do exactly what they're
Mhm.
recommending you. And if you've tried all of that and it's not working, you can come back and they can adjust it.
Right.
So it's like it's not a definite.
Hmm.
It's just a
Right.
starting place. Like that's one of the things I had to encourage. This is just a starting place.
Right.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
report anything that's going on, any side effects or any changes that you start to see within yourself as a result of the medication. That's why you have to be aware and you have to do your own research and your education about what the doctor is giving you. And start with the doctor. A
mhm.
lot of times the doctor examines you, tells you what they see, writes you the prescription and say, "Do you have any questions?" And we say, "Nope,
No, and we
nope."
put on out.
No, I'm good. But you take it. You're skeptical about going to get it filled, and when you get it filled, you let it sit on the table or on the dresser or the counter, wherever,
Uh-huh.
for a while before you even take it. And then you look at it and you talk yourself out of taking it when you see the side effects on the bottle, which is 9 times out of 10, maybe not going to occur with you. It might be one out of 1,000 people that it occurs with. And so, then you don't take it. So you're still hurting, you're still suffering. So
Yes.
start with that medical professional who prescribe. Ask your questions. I don't care if they're trying to rush you. Ask your questions. This is your health. This is your health care. You went in there obviously with some form of insurance, so you're paying to see this provider. So obtain all of the services that you need, even the education on whatever diagnosis you're given and whatever medications you're being given to treat those symptoms.
That's
You don't have to struggle.
yeah.
Sometimes, we create our own distress. We have to get out of our way and allow those people and those individuals in our environment to support and to help us.
Amen. That's some good. That's some good. I'm so glad you're saying this. This is something that we all need to hear, and we
Right.
need to continue to re-educate ourselves, get the information out, so that we can take care of our mental health. That we should not put a stigma on it. We need to make sure that we take care of ourselves mentally. Yes.
Exactly. It's just as important as taking care of your physical health. Now, if you're neglecting your physical health and your mental health, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You're in trouble.
Amen. So the next question we have is, in your experience, how can religious communities better support individuals who are dealing with mental health issues?
Well, first of all, the churches have to start having the conversations. A lot of times they're not even having the conversations. And then they need to start normalizing some of these issues and things that we deal with. Sometimes they're just swept under the rug or they're talked about in silence, and we have to speak about them in open communities. So you definitely has to be addressed more in the church. And
Amen.
then the church needs to educate and equip itself, even if you're not, because I understand, and sometimes churches are concerned about the liability of trying to say things to a person or assist or whatever. Just be a referral base. Just be aware and have some resources and have a place to refer
Right.
when these situations come up, if you do not have any type of on-site human service ministries or social service ministries or counseling ministries within your church. But
That's
some
good.
churches are set up like that. They have a human service ministry, social service, and counseling service, but some don't.
That's good. That's good. So we should have resources to refer.
At least
Yes.
that's the minimum. At least have some resources where you can say, hey, we recognize that you're struggling with this, and we want to assist you with getting to this agency or talking to this person. Have some a referral base.
That's good. That's good. So the next question is, how can women practice self-care when they feel they don't have enough time for themselves?
Once again, that's going to require you to assess what you do have, what is in your hand that you can utilize. Um, who are the people around you, particularly if you have children that you can trust to watch your children, even if it's just 30 minutes an hour. Sometimes you have to start small. So if it's only 30 minutes or 15 minutes that you can carve out, 20 minutes, whatever it is, do that and stay consistent with it and build upon it.
Yes, that's
Mhm.
good. That's good. So the next question is, how can parents recognize if their trauma is affecting their child's mental health, and what steps should they take to address it?
A parent's trauma affecting their children.
Yes.
Hmm. Well, first and foremost, if a person is recognizing that they have unresolved trauma, they need to be getting into some form of treatment, individual, group, pastoral counseling, or something so that they can address it. Especially if they see themselves, I guess, exhibiting some of the same things in their environment in regard to what they experienced that caused the trauma.
Okay. And then how, what would you say? if someone doesn't recognize that their trauma is affecting them, how do you help them? Like, if I'm just a friend and I see it, how
Hmm.
me as a friend help them get the help they need?
Um, and with this person, and I guess you have no way of knowing if this person would be receptive to any type of coaching or counseling. But be present. Sometimes the ministry of presence is very helpful for a person. Be there for them, talk with them. They may not see it, but maybe there are just some things that you can do or things that you can point out to show them that, hey, I noticed such and such. And I remember you telling me that, that's exactly how you were treated when you were young. Well, I saw you yelling at, little Johnny. Or it just didn't sound well, So let's have a conversation about that. Let's talk about that. Are you overwhelmed with something? Are you stressed out about something? Did something trigger you? Because sometimes you can help people recognize the things in the environment that are triggering them.
That's good. That's some really good key points because if we're not an expert, we see it, but we don't want them to think that we're
Mm-hmm.
just judging or or just looking back, calling them out, but yeah, just
Right.
being there, being present, and saying, I noticed this is a way
Mm-hmm.
to really easily, softly address the issue.
Exactly.
Yes, yes, those.
Exactly. And you can even talk about your own experience in regard to it, perhaps if you've been down that road, and that should help the light bulb go off for them. Like, oh, wait a minute, and they may not do it in the midst of that conversation. It may take them, going back home or whatever, and really thinking about things and saying, oh, well, maybe I need to be mindful of how I'm speaking or the things that I am doing. Because maybe that person is seeing that in me as well. And they may come to you and they may ask you, well, did I sing, or did I do X, Y, and Z? And you can say, well, I did see you and I was concerned,
That's good.
and how can I support you? And how can I help you, with that? So you're not pointing the finger, you're not being judgmental, but you're letting them know that, hey, I'm here to support and help you.
That's good. That's really some really good information. I think we have one more question,
Okay.
and it was, what was the motivation for you to become who you are today?
What was the motivation? So for as a helping professional,
Well, they
I would
go ahead.
I would have to say, my motivation for becoming a helping professional, it must have been just innate in what God had planted in me because I could see it at a very young age, always wanting to support, always wanting to help others, always wanting to be there for individuals that were less fortunate. And these were children that I was seeing in my class, in classes at a very young age, and I wanted to support them and help them, or if I couldn't help them, connect them to someone or a resource that could assist them. And I guess that's probably what led me to counseling. And then, just like everyone else, there are always some issues. I do apologize for the background noise. There are always some issues in everybody's upbringing, So there was also issues in my upbringing as well that encouraged me to want to get into the counseling field.
That's
And
good.
I'm just gonna put the mute on until we can get the dogs quieted back down.
But I'm just so thankful and grateful that you decided to come on here and just give us the resources we need, show us how we can overcome a challenge, how to seek help, how to take care of our mental health. We all need this. We need this. I really enjoyed this interview. Like, this was amazing because it really like turned a light bulb on for me to be like, oh, I need to stay in the present moment. I need to take care of my mental health. I need self
Yes.
care. I need to make sure. I'm okay before I can help somebody else. This has really just been such a blessing.
Well, I pray that it has been a blessing. I pray that it's helped someone. I'm so thankful and grateful for the opportunity and the invitation just to be on here and to share. And so grateful and thankful for what you do. I mean, I remember when you started it a few years ago, and just to see you growing and flourishing and continuing, not only with the women's empowerment, but personally in your own ministry and family. It's just wonderful to see.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Um, I'm going to go ahead and give them a sneak peek of the next episode, but I also
Okay.
want you to give your final words after I say that. So,
Okay.
next week we have Reverend Amite Bradley Smith. She's going to come next week on September 20th, and her topic is just wait and see. So I want you all to come back the same place, same time, and we're going to allow her to come. She's going to minister to us in her own way. And I just want you to know that I'm so thankful for you all coming on every week. You have really been a true encouragement to me. None other, we're going to have Dr. LaTasha Blissett give us our final words.
Well, once again, thank you all for being here, listeners, viewers, our wonderful host. It's been such a blessing. It refreshes and encourages me every time I get an opportunity to share with someone. And I just want to encourage someone who is in the midst of a struggle. Know that you don't have to struggle alone. You don't have to suffer in silence. There are so many coaches, mentors, counselors, therapists that you can seek assistance from. Be mindful that taking care of your mental health does not mean that you have mental illness. I need you to get out of denial, press into those situations, and seek out the help that you need so that you can thrive in this life and do and be all that God has called you to be. Don't get caught up in lack of confidence and comparison to what you see out there in the world. You are God's masterpiece,
Mm.
his original design, and know that it is something within you that he wants to utilize for the upbuilding of the kingdom. And you have to be well, both mentally and physically, able to do it. So you can make it. You don't have to struggle alone. So God bless you. Thank you all once again. It has just totally been my pleasure.
Amen. Thank you so much. We appreciate you all. See you next week. And thank you so much. We can't do this without you. Have a
Thank
great day.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for this
Thank you.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Have a great one.
You
Bye
too.
bye.
Bye bye.